Today on CityCast Philly, it's the Friday News Roundup. Brrr, it's cold. There might be some snow coming. We're also talking about the city's homicide rate and why Eagle Saquon Barkley is sitting out Sunday's game. It's Friday, January 3rd. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me this week is Matt Katz, CityCast Philly executive producer. Hey, Matt.
Happy New Year, Trenae.
Happy New Year. And CityCast Philly producer Abby Fritz. Hey, Abby.
Hi, happy 2025.
Yeah, Happy New Year. We're back, and it's cold.
Oh, man, it's nasty.
It is chilly. I heard you guys got a little snow on the 24th.
Yeah, you were away, but we had like a little
bit.
minor white Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's exciting. Well, it's only going to get colder, guys.
Yay.
You know that?
Wonderful.
Yeah. The next few weeks are going to be like considerably below the average for the area.
Oh, man.
I read a story on Philly Voice that there's going to be what they're calling an Arctic air blast blowing our way.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's coming from Siberia, and it's going to bring us down to the 30s and 20s next week. The average temp for January in Philly is 41 degrees on the high end, and then the low is 28. It's going to be about 10 degrees below that average in the coming weeks, which is wild because I feel like when I was out for New Year's Eve, I didn't even need a jacket. And that's not like the beer talking. Like it was genuinely like nice out. I feel like
it was weirdly a little warmer on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Although New Year's Day was pretty cold and blustery.
And it was windy.
Yes, it was windy. And the wind will continue because that's kind of the whole thing coming in. It looks like it's going to be down to the 30s and 20s next week. And Fox 29 says there is a chance of snow. But like really the distinctive thing that's coming our way is like in the week after that, it's going to get down to single digit temps, which we have not seen since 2022.
Oh, wow.
So that's going to be a big low coming up here. It seems like from a couple of the articles I read, people are kind of debating on if we're actually going to get snow, but it's definitely going to be very cold. So get your warm jackets out, get the scarves out. It's going to actually be a winter now.
That snow might come on Monday, which
Yes.
is the first day of school back after the break for many Philadelphia students. So that would be pretty interesting if they got an extra day of
Little snow day.
holiday vacation. Yes.
That would be fun. I also have to mention that the city of Philadelphia issued a code blue yesterday, which went into effect at 3 p.m. and it goes on indefinitely. So this basically means that when Philly is expecting really cold conditions, the city takes special measures to keep houseless folks safe. So there's going to be a 24-hour outreach for folks to be transported to safe indoor spaces, additional shelter beds, and they can also stay inside emergency housing throughout the day.
And speaking of the cold weather, there's a story from WHYY News about a number of apartment buildings that were in violation of the city's heating code.
Yeah, and with like all this cold weather on the horizon, that's really kind of scary to think about. But as of the 24th, city records showed that 114 properties were violating the city's minimum heat laws, and some were even like noted as like uninhabitable. Like people should not be in them. It's that cold.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And so like the rules and regulations say in the house it has to be 68 degrees in the bathroom, bedroom, and kitchen. And they have different standards for different parts of the year, you know, because especially on the East Coast, there's different weather. So October through April, they have to meet those marks. And for context, it's also illegal to rent out an apartment that doesn't have heating, and not like a space heater. Space heaters don't count. That's like in the law books. You can't just like bring in a little something because they're also kind of dangerous. They can start fires and stuff. It has to be actually like some sort of centralized heating, a radiator, something like that. And my heater broke briefly like a month or two ago when it was getting really cold. And it was horrible. So
Did your landlord come out quickly?
Yeah, they came. I made them come because I was like, I will not pay rent if this does not get fixed quickly. And so they came out and fixed it. But even for like a day of having a heater broken in the cold, it was miserable.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And who are people supposed to call if their heat is out and
That's my question,
their
too.
landlord is not like returning their texts and calls to say, hey, come fix the heat?
Yeah, that's like a challenging question. When I was reading this WHYY article, you know, you should always try to contact your landlord first and see if they can come out and get it resolved. That's like the easiest way. Renters can also, like I threatened to do, withhold rent if they're refusing to fix the heater. But if you're not able to get into contact with them or the rent withholding isn't working, you can call 311 to file a complaint, and then licensing inspection can come and investigate. But if L&I gets involved and the city deems it unsafe, they actually will tell you have to leave the premises. And that's not your landlord. That is the city saying you got to leave. And they're not oh, go to this place. We have this place for you where you can go while the landlord is doing whatever. It's kind of unclear where you go if L&I comes and says, this is not habitable, you have to leave.
Wow.
So some people, if you don't have another option other than your current property and your landlord is not up to heating standards, it can be complicated because you might not be able to go somewhere else. But there are some immediate remedies if you've contacted your landlord and they're maybe trying to get it sorted, or if you are, taken off your property. There are heating centers around the city for residents without shelter. You can call the Homeless Outreach Hotline at 215-232-1984. And also older adults can contact the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, which is at 215-765-9040. But also just be very careful if you're trying to use ovens or space heaters or anything like that to heat your house. They can be dangerous. I would suggest, contacting these hotlines and finding a heating center rather than trying, to remedy it yourself. This is really your landlord's responsibility. This is not your responsibility.
For sure. Well, we've got more news after this break. Another story we've been following is the violence that happened last month outside Dilworth Plaza when 3 teens were shot. Matt, there's been an update on one of the shooting victims.
Yeah, the Inquirer had a story at the end of December that has just shook me. I mean, I can't stop thinking about the victims in this case. To recap, this was December 13th. It was a Friday afternoon at Christmas Village at Dilworth Plaza. And in this Inquirer story, following up on the case by Ellie Rushing, she interviewed the mother who told this harrowing story about what happened here. Now, it began with a bullying incident at a nearby charter school, in Center City. And there were some kids who were threatening to jump a boy's brother. And it was actually dealt with in the school initially. The parents, the caregivers came in, they met with the boys shook hands, but there was then beef after school, and these 2 brothers, a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old, were then pursued by some other boys. The brothers call their mom. The mom was on her way to the hospital at the time because their father was in critical condition after a car crash, right? So she's on her way to the hospital. She had given the boys money to get some pizza after school. She told them to take the L home. Instead, they were pursued by these boys, ended up near Christmas Village. She told them to run to Christmas Village for safety, and that's where...
Yeah, because there's so many people around. And,
right,
yeah,
and there's cops and whatnot. But at Christmas Village, the 14-year-old brother was shot in the face. He barely survived. They had to remove his left eye. He had many bones in his face shattered. There's a bullet lodged in his brain.
That was very close to almost his spinal cord.
Yeah. I mean, just so senseless and horrifying. The brother, the 15-year-old brother who had carried his little brother's body to the patrol car after the shooting, wouldn't change out of his bloody clothes for days over this. I mean, both parents work for the school system, and all indications in this article seems that they were very much on top of their child's education, their child's safety. There wasn't any negligence in the home. And the mom was just going to visit the dad in the hospital.
And they're at the same hospital.
Can I read you this bit from the article? Khalil, that's the boy's name, was rushed into emergency surgery at Jefferson Hospital, leaving Desus, this is the mom, and her family to worry and wait for hours. Meanwhile, her husband was upstairs in a hospital bed of his own. And when a nurse told him what happened to his son, he ripped his IV from his arm and tried to run out to go see him.
This story is so heartbreaking because I'm just pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want this violence to end. And there are so many other families like this particular family that we're just trying to raise our kids in this city.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
What stood out to me in the article, too, is that this mother wants more supports for children.
Right.
And there are great Philadelphians in the city that, help our kids with youth sports and writing clubs and music groups and other extracurricular activities. But I remember Mayor Sherrell Parker even said, we have to do more. We have to do more to save our kids and really save the city. Well, there is some good news.
Yeah.
The city's homicide rate dropped 35% compared to 2023 when 409 people were killed. So the end of 2024, we ended with 268.
It's low compared to certainly the last few years, and from a larger historical scope, it is one of our safest years as it relates to homicides. But it's just it's too many people,
It is.
and these kids are too young. I mean, a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old were charged in connection with this shooting. Why did these kids have access to guns? And they're actually still looking for the shooter, so they haven't arrested the shooter, but they believe the shooter is a teenager as well. I wanted to mention there is a GoFundMe page for the family. You can go to GoFundMe and search the boy's name, Khalil Dessus, Khalil and Dessus. I mean, we know that the city leaders are paying close attention to this stuff. And we also know that there's a new administration in charge of the police department. And, I feel hopeful that sometimes fresh eyes, a fresh approach can also be helpful here. I mean, maybe that's in part why the homicide rate dropped. I will say, for context, the homicide rate is dropping all over the country after spiking during COVID. So this is a reflection of that. But Philly police do seem to be operating a bit differently over the past year, and maybe that's reflected in the homicide drop. I read a bunch of interviews, end-of-the-year interviews with the police commissioner, Kevin Bethel, who's in his first year on the job, having been appointed by Mayor Parker. And there's some interesting stats about how police are operating differently. They've done a lot more business checks, is what they call when they just stop into a business, see what's going on, many issues with shoplifting, other issues. And there was a 4,000% increase in those business checks. They're seizing ATVs and dirt bikes at a much greater rate. And they're doing SEPTA checks. So there's SEPTA police, but now city cops are coming on buses and trains and supporting SEPTA police in that way. And arrests are up. 9% increase in arrests for violent crimes, 23% increase for property crimes. The stat that I'm always interested in is clearance rates for homicides, which sometimes in the city are just 50%. And that means how many homicides are they solving?
Oh, okay.
How many shooters are they identifying and going out and arresting? And sometimes that rate is half, and that's not good. That's terrible. That rate is now up over 70%. And Police Commissioner Bethel spoke to the Inquirer about this in the last couple of weeks, and he attributed to the fact that since there are fewer shootings and homicides overall, detectives are able to spend more time investigating each case.
Because when those numbers come down, the detectives now are able to investigate and spend time where, when they have 560 homicides, or you're a homicide detective over 3 years, and you got 1,600 homicides, just to do the math, now they come up for air.
They come up for air. I mean, I think over the past few years, we've been talking about just how the police department has been overwhelmed and overworked as well. So it sounds like there might be some reprieve maybe for this upcoming year. Maybe some of the things that worked in 2024, we can see that in 2025. And I'm sure there's a list of other things and initiatives that they want to roll out.
And non-police approaches too, like you were talking about earlier, after school programming, all those other ways of keeping young men and boys occupied so they're not messing around with guns and settling beefs with murder.
We'll be talking more about how the city is tackling violence next week. More news of the week after the break. All right, before I let you guys go, what are you doing this weekend?
Oh my God. I need to relax this weekend.
Have a vacation from the vacation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Need to redo all my laundry. I need to clean all the dishes. It's going to be a chill weekend. So I think I'm going to stick to like the TV movie moment. Last month, I mentioned in our gift guide that I wanted a Philadelphia Film Society membership for Christmas, and I did. I got it. So I'm excited.
Oh.
So I think I'm going to use that, which means I get like $5 off of all adult tickets, and I'm going to go see Nosferatu this weekend in Center City. So that'll be exciting. And also, recently, the teaser for the Abbott Elementary and It's Always Sunny collab came out.
Yes.
And that's going to be next Wednesday. So I'm getting hyped to watch that.
The greatest moment in Philadelphia television history.
Yes, the collaboration. So,
well, speaking of TV, we're watching the game on Sunday.
There we are. It doesn't mean anything.
It really doesn't.
Because the Eagles have locked up the NFC East. And now we just have to wait another week to see who they play. But one of the reasons why my voice is a little off today, my wife and I and some friends went to the Eagles game last week.
You did? Oh
That's
my
so
God.
fun.
I saw them beat the shit out of the Cowboys.
Oh my God. That game was so insane.
It was so fun. They won by like 30-something points.
Yeah.
There was a pick six to open the game.
Yeah.
It was fun to boo the Cowboys. I was screaming my ass off. It was great. So the game this weekend we'll certainly watch, but we're not really getting any starters. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. We hope he's okay. That was from injury a couple weeks back. And Saquon Barkley is sitting. He's not going to play.
No, I was debating if this is a good thing or not because he was so close to like beating the single season rushing yard record.
Right.
But I'd rather him, be well rested for the playoffs so we can get to the Super Bowl,
Absolutely.
baby.
Yeah, this is the last week of the
want.
season, so this was the last chance he would have had to break the record. He needed more than 100 yards, but we do not need him getting hurt.
Right.
So that's why he's sitting out.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to watch that Eagles game. I'm also going to hang out and recover from a bunch of partying over the holidays. And I got a Hanukkah gift. I got a new controller for our Switch.
Oh, cool.
So I bet my son and I are going to be playing the baseball game we like, the show, using my new controller. Because I've been blaming the old controller for why I lose to him. So now I really need to beat him with the new controller. Otherwise, I'm going to have some explaining to do.
Yeah, put your money where your mouth is.
Yes. What are you doing, Trenae?
I want to try out this new restaurant on the Parkway. It's called Havana. It's from the Amina Hospitality Collection. They have the Black Hen, Amina, and Fia restaurants in the city. So they are serving, Abby, this is for you. They've got a seafood specific menu.
Oh.
That's why I want to go. And they're known for like their comfort food, a lot of like Southern, soul food. So this is a new restaurant on the Parkway.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah, I love Amina. I have had like the cheesesteak beignets there.
Oh my God, the deviled eggs were
yes.
good. So yeah. And if you want more ideas for places to eat or just things to do over the weekend or really for the whole month of January, you've got to look at the CityCast Philly's monthly guide. That's in our feed. And you can check it out in Hey Philly. Matt, Abby.
It's going to be a great 2025, guys. We're going to shake off the cobwebs from the holidays.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to have a good year.
Yeah, we got a lot coming up for the podcast, so keep an ear out.
Before we end here, I want to shout out Callum Patrick Mahoney, who was the first child born in Philadelphia in 2025.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, came in at 12:27 a.m. at Penn Hospital, weighing in at 7 pounds 6 ounces. So, mazel tov to parents Jenna and Ryan Mahoney.
Aww.
Yes, more Philadelphians.
A new Philadelphian.
Yes, welcome. Hopefully, he's a new listener to CityCast
Yes,
Philly.
please subscribe. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Matt Katz. Our producers are Abby Fritz, Elizabeth Kama, and Lizzie Goldsmith. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Ava Wynowski, and our host is me, Trenae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos. If you enjoyed this episode, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all. Bye. It's like, what?
Working on that voice. I got that. I got that winter, post-vacation, winter cold voice.
That's a winter remix.
Right.